Hey everyone, my name is Jason Mellard. I am a writer, high performance coach, and the founder of Own Your Identity. I'm committed to empowering men who are experiencing unwanted same-sex attraction to live the life they truly desire through the power of Christ and for the glory of God. Thank you for inviting me into your life today. Today, we're diving into an incredibly powerful topic, our thoughts, the statements and questions that we tell ourselves, and how they can either hold us back or propel us forward in life. In episode 1, I talked about how taking every thought captive was a real game changer for me. I began to understand how a situation could influence my thoughts and how the thoughts and meaning I gave that situation powerfully impacted my emotions. Thoughts are broken up into statements and questions. Statements give meaning to a situation and direct our focus. A lot of things that I've thought about situations or about myself have not been helpful. I don't know about you, but my automatic thoughts, they color my view of what's possible in life and how I show up in the world. A mentor told me that you have to talk to yourself instead of listen to yourself. It took me a second to let that soak in, but what he was saying is that, if we believed all the thoughts that just popped into our head, we would be a mess. We really do have to speak the truth to ourselves, and it's not easy, but it's worth it. I can challenge my thoughts. I can say, is this 100% true? Is there a perspective that I haven't considered yet? If I follow this train of thought, where is it going to take me? And if I want to go somewhere different, I can ask God the thoughts that I need to think to get there. So statements are very powerful because they direct our focus. And questions, though, I think are next level, because when our brain receives a question, it cannot help but to get all of our energy put towards trying to get an answer to that question. Our brain does not like things to be hanging out there in the air. It wants to get resolution and get an answer to a question and move forward, even if it has to, fake some details or fudge a little bit to make meaning of a situation and get an answer. When I was younger, I often asked myself, what does it mean to be a man? What do I need? What do I need to be a man? That was a terrible question because it told me that I didn't have what it took to be a man. I needed to go and get that from outside of me. It took a lot of time and energy to try and answer that question over a period of years when the problem was in the question. I wish I had somebody back then to teach me how to question my questions. When I think about a better question I could have asked, it would be, how can I cultivate that seed of masculinity that God put in me when He created me and see it grow? I really like that one a lot better than what do I need to be a man. Tony Robbins, in his book, Awaken the Giant Within, said the following 3 things about questions. He says that thinking is nothing but the process of asking and answering questions. And to get better answers, ask better questions. I like that. The difference between people is the difference in the questions they ask consistently. Also, when looking at your thoughts, pay attention to the words they include. Words like bad, wrong, or broken, they're going to lead to negative emotions and make it a lot harder to speak the truth to yourself. I've had that experience where all my thoughts seem to be negative, and I look at the words and none of them are helpful or empowering. Now I'm going to share 4 scenes from my life with you and show you how the situation that I was in and the emotion that I had, when I pulled them apart, I could see what all those statements and questions were that I was telling myself in the middle of them and how that was helpful or not helpful. The first scene is this crazy junior high lunchroom in a new school district that I didn't really know anybody, but somehow I found myself at the cool kid table. I was sitting at the edge of it, observing these people talk about theater and music and movies, and I didn't know what to say, and I felt kind of dumb, and I wanted to be included and popular as well, but I was afraid I would say something that they would think was silly, and so I just sat there and observed, and the thoughts that I had were, this is too much stimulation, I don't belong here, I'm not like these people, they're going to reject me when they realize that I'm boring, it will be awkward, and I'll be alone. I asked myself, how can they be so free with who they are? They seem so authentic. What's wrong with me that I have nothing to say and feel so scared? I felt fear and sadness. New thoughts could be, if I was able to tap myself on the shoulder back then in that crazy lunchroom, I would suggest saying, I like and admire these people for being so free and expressive. I'm glad I get to sit here and experience their energy. I can't think of much to say and don't feel comfortable being that expressive, but I would like to become more like that. Anything is possible. And how can I learn just to be more comfortable sitting here right now and enjoy this moment? Finally, what does God say about me? It's pretty cool. I was preparing for this podcast and thinking through that scene, considering how I feel now, in a crowd of people. I feel like I belong there. I feel like I'm not somebody that is meant to be on the outside looking in, but I really belong in the thick of things. And when I walk into a room, people are better off for my authentic presence. It's really cool to see that contrast and see, where God has taken me. The second scene is in the gym, in a rec center in college. And there was a guy that was probably the biggest, most built, attractive person there. And it wasn't just me that thought that. Other people would say that. I noticed him because I had a habit of doing that with attractive guys. Other people maybe didn't give him a second thought. And when I look back and consider the emotion that I had when I saw him the first time, it was fear. That's kind of strange, or too bad that I would see somebody that's really attractive and feel afraid. But when you listen to these thoughts that I had, it kind of makes sense. I told myself, I'm not enough. He is strong. I am weak. He is more of a man than I am. Because of his appearance and strength, he doesn't have to be afraid. And if I looked more like that, I could be confident. And I asked, can I ever look like that? If I did, maybe I wouldn't have to be afraid or doubt my worth. Does he see me? Well, what does he think of me? Those were not very empowering thoughts or questions, and it didn't make me feel connected with him, like we were both men working towards, just building our bodies. Yeah, I really felt really separate and a lot smaller than him. I was a lot smaller than him in real life if you saw us standing next to each other, but I didn't have to feel a lot smaller. Yesterday, I was at the gym at the YMCA, and I saw an attractive guy, and I was kind of curious, like, okay, I just considered this story to share in this podcast with you about my experience with somebody at the rec center in college. I don't have that same, fear reaction or a physical arousal with this guy I'm looking at now at the YMCA, and I was just kind of curious, why is that? There must be different automatic thoughts that are coming to my mind, and it was really nice to look at these thoughts and realize that, I don't have to force these thoughts. I don't have to convince myself they're true. They really just come up as automatic thoughts. I've trained myself, to believe these as truth, and it's really nice. So I saw this guy, and I felt kind of neutral and inspired by him. I said, he's an attractive guy. I admire his strength and appearance. He's put focus and dedication towards increasing his strength and size, and I think that's cool. And I asked myself, how can I improve my workouts to make faster gains? And I really saw myself as an equal, a skinnier equal, but still an equal. And I really liked that. This next scene is a tough one. I shared it with you at the last episode, and it was when I was looking at this guy in a college class that I really admired, and I thought if I could be more like him, or if he could be my friend, then I wouldn't have to be so scared or anxious or feel alone. And he saw me looking at him, I think, or he had observed me at different times in college, and he invited me to go to dinner with him and his friend. And during dinner, he told me that I was gay. That was, really a tough thing to hear, and I didn't know what to make of it. Looking back, I felt pretty scared, and I felt vulnerable, and also kind of paranoid, because I thought, well, if somehow they know this or can tell this, then who else can as well? In that moment, I could think of the times where I've admired men, even that time at the rec center at college, or just various times in my life that, my attention is more drawn to men than to women. So, okay, I could see that. I've never put a label on it, though, as being gay, and I kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I thought these thoughts such as, I didn't see this coming. Why would they think that? Does anybody else think that? Is it true? What do I do with this statement that they just gave me? And what does that mean for my identity as a perfect Christian? What does this mean for my future and my dreams? And finally, what's wrong with me that they would think that? I must be broken. Something must be wrong. And again, if I could go put my hand on my shoulder of my 18-year-old self back then, I would say, here's some other thoughts that you may consider thinking. I hadn't thought of myself that way. That's interesting. I wonder why they think that. I have no idea how to respond. I don't have to respond. And I don't have to figure this out anytime soon. I can focus on it when I'm ready. I don't have to hurry and rush through life. I have great value and worth no matter what comes my way. I can be curious about how they expect me to respond and what they think I should do with this information, but I don't have to worry about it so much. And, I kind of wonder, why they care enough to tell me this. Maybe I could be curious about that. What could I learn from this? Who do I believe I am? And, of course, what does God think about it? What trusted person can I reach out to process this? And am I going to freak out about this? I can answer that with a no. Now I really believe that labels don't serve me, and it's fine if other people want to use them, but I personally find them limiting. I'm not gay. I am a man perfectly created in God's image, living in a fallen world saved by His grace, and in the process of continual sanctification. The next scene is, this is the last one, when I was sitting at the YMCA parking lot, so apparently a lot of my stories are at the gym. I was feeling just overpowered with strong emotion, and I call it being in the gray zone, where I can hardly even tell all the things that I'm feeling and thinking, and it just, everything is mixed up together. And in that moment, the only thing I could think about was looking at porn. I felt fear, sadness, loneliness, and anger. And I said to myself, looking at porn is the only logical course of action right now. Nothing else makes sense. I love how it makes me feel. It will be great to see videos of guys taking off their clothes and being intimate. It's going to help me escape. What search term should I put in first? What website should I go to? Which one included the video I really liked the last time I looked at porn? And then I got aroused just thinking about it. So now I'm thinking, okay, I've got just to go ahead and go through with this because my body is not going to calm down if I don't. I was able to work through that and think about my emotions and consider, some of the challenging situations that had happened earlier in the day and the thoughts about those that contributed to that fear and sadness and anger. But when I think about just those considerations of looking at porn as a result of those uncomfortable emotions, I could suggest better thoughts for myself. Like, there are undoubtedly some amazing looking guys on the internet. I love their strength and vitality. Unfortunately, lusting after them does me no good. It feeds a belief that I'm not strong or masculine and I don't have what it takes to make it in life. I can't afford to live from those beliefs. Life is too precious. My goals are too big, and God's vision for my life is too great. Too many people are counting on me, and I love being strong for them. So I'm just going to have to pass on porn. And also, I could tell myself that the pressure in my body is going to subside in time. It's consistently done that before. And in the meantime, I can turn my sexual energy towards things that move me closer to my goals. The pleasure of processing my uncomfortable emotions is better than the pain of using porn. I want to give you also some general example statements to replace maybe some disempowering ones with. You can affirm yourself and say, I have much to offer a woman, when you're doubting if you do. Say, other men are better off when I'm around, when you're doubting if that's true. Say, in Christ, I have what it takes for anything that God's called me to. Those statements will really reinforce your identity and encourage you to have a positive outlook. Have empathy and compassion towards yourself, please. Say, I may have let myself down by acting out, but I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to fall forward. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to have, whatever emotion I'm experiencing, and I can process through them, and life is going to be okay. Those are going to help, in nurturing a better inner dialogue, and that's really important to grow. Practice gratitude. We all know that's a powerful thing to do. Say, I'm glad for the opportunity to serve others today. I can be grateful for this urge to look at porn because it provides me with an opportunity to grow by making a choice that is aligned with my values. Practicing gratitude can really shift the focus from what's lacking to what's abundant in life and makes you feel good. Think about the future and have a growth mindset. Say, I know where I want to go in life, and idolizing another man is not going to get me there. I have unique gifts from God to create, connect, and give. Those statements will foster a sense of purpose and direction. And when you are observing something, be neutral about it and non-judgmental. Thoughts like, I notice I'm feeling anxious, or I see that I'm struggling with this, or I'm experiencing an attraction. Those are just neutral statements, and don't put emotion or meaning into it. And that's going to allow us to be more empowered to think through a better positive response. And encourage yourself. Say, I've got this, or I can do hard things. That's what I like to tell my kids to say to themselves. I've worked through this before. Now, those are going to boost your motivation and perseverance, especially during challenging times and situations that come up. Some example questions to tell yourself. What are my unique strengths, and how can I use them to my advantage? How have I already demonstrated the qualities I admire in somebody else? That's a great one. Like when you're envious of another guy and are feeling small. What positive impact has my journey had on my life and the lives of others? I like that one as well because it can reframe the past in a more empowered way and allow our experiences to really be valuable. How can I show compassion to myself in challenging situations? What steps can I take today to align more closely with my values? That can really encourage you to dive deep into your identity beyond what is just happening in the moment. How can I embrace my authenticity even when it's difficult? That would be a great question for me back in the cafeteria in ninth grade. In what ways can I celebrate my progress, no matter how small? And then my favorite, what story do I want to tell about my life, and how can I start living it now? I'm going to say it again. What story do I want to tell about my life, and how can I start living it now? That question is going to help visualize and pursue the life that we truly desire. So I invite you to consider, what are you telling yourself, and what are the questions that you're asking? Observe how they make you feel and where they might be taking you. And when you look at that, go ahead and share it with somebody that you can trust, and that's going to allow you to be more vulnerable and to process it better. Remember, our thoughts direct our focus, and the questions we ask ourselves can really shape our reality. Talk to yourself. Don't listen to yourself. Ask empowering questions instead of just taking your automatic thoughts at face value. And you're going to feel a lot better and open the door to positive change in your life. You have the power to shape your story. Take your thoughts captive to be able to do that. Thank you so much for listening to me. I would love to meet you someday. Every month I give a masterclass on a topic related to same-sex attraction and negative habits. I'd love for you to join. Go to ownyouridentitynow.com/masterclass to register. You can also view past replays there. It would be great to have you. There's a Q&A session at the end. And with that, I would like to say thank you and God bless.